Star Citizen is hurtling towards CitizenCon this weekend, its biggest showcase event of the year, where fans get to tune in and see much deeper dives into the progress being made on the main areas of this game. Recently, the project passed $500 million in its funding mark, which is generally a cause for celebration, but the current mood and hype around this upcoming CitizenCon event is, well, interesting, given that it's not an in-person event and that there isn't going to be a keynote speech this time around. The devs have been hard at work, and in general, the message seems to be that they want to keep focusing their resources towards making the game versus creating a massive presentation and show about the game. Still, they're going to have a 4-hour-long presentation about various aspects of the project's development, and I'm sure it'll contain many cool new things people haven't seen before. I will be streaming the event on YouTube while it's live, so if you want to come by and hang out and watch it with me this Saturday, it starts at 8 a.m. Pacific time. I'll be probably kicking off the stream a little bit before that just to get it warmed up, and I thought today might be a good opportunity to talk about past CitizenCons and the expectations of this upcoming one. So the CitizenCons in the past have demoed some of Star Citizen's most impressive materials, such as deep looks at the game's single-player campaign, its incredible planetary tech, and other major features before they've been implemented in the game. Generally, if Star Citizen starts popping up on your news feed, especially if you're not following Star Citizen regularly, there's a good chance it's happening because a CitizenCon event just revealed something big. Now, of course, CitizenCon has also, in many cases, shown many features that end up being massively delayed, like the 4.0 update, which was first teased in 2016, which we still don't have today, and the highly anticipated Theaters of War game mode, which is kind of like the Battlefield version of Star Citizen, which may or may not be in production anymore. With Star Citizen being basically the only high-profile live development project of its kind, well, ever, the community quite literally gets to follow along as ideas work, get delayed, or maybe even get canceled due to shifting focus and the general nature of game development. This stuff generally happens behind the closed doors of major studios, but with CIG, everyone pretty much knows when a decision didn't work out or when things aren't on schedule. So CitizenCon is kind of a giant hype fest. It's a marketing tool, it's a giant window for the backers, and it should also be taken with a healthy dose of release date skepticism. And I'm absolutely watering at the mouth just thinking about it. Sorry, I can't help it. Despite the drama and craziness surrounding this game's development, it's amazingly delivered on many of the concepts previously considered absolutely impossible, and it's done it without really cutting corners, and in many cases ended up with results that look even better than the ones originally promised. So if there's even a chance of CIG delivering on the rest of this concept at a similar level of fidelity that they have been so far, I'm sure as heck sticking around to see if they can figure it out. So with that said, what can we expect at this year's CitizenCon? Well, the presentation is going to start off with the Journey to 4.0 Planetary Pyro, which is kind of what they also did last year. Pyro is the second star system that we will be getting soon, quote unquote, as soon as server meshing is working in the game. Fingers crossed it's the first half of next year. Now, I would imagine because the Pyro system is massive and has lots of planets and moons and outposts that there's of course going to be plenty to showcase here. Previously, they showed some beauty shots and quick flyovers of different areas with long stretches on one or two specific planets and locations, so maybe there'll be a deeper dive into more of the locations and unique environments and details here. The second presentation will be about investigations, a new mission archetype that leaves combat and delivery behind for mindful deduction and increased storytelling. This could be interesting. Star Citizen has been trying to push the envelope in many areas of game design, not just scale and simulation, but to truly improve the skill and mental games needed for pretty much every task. So a mission system where you actually have to be a detective could be pretty cool. Now, the third presentation on the schedule is called The Underground, where corporations, commerce, and caverns collide. Take your first look at the enormous reimagining of underground facilities and the new gameplay possibilities that will arrive with them. Now, I'm personally really excited about this. As it stands right now, most of the mission-based on-foot combat takes place in underground bunkers, which have been pretty much the exact same boring designs for years and years. They've been in desperate needs of updates, and the idea that these major planet-side facilities could be massively overhauled to be more fun, objective-oriented missions could open up so many more opportunities and really inject some much-needed life into the mission grind that is really the current design of Star Citizen's gameplay loop. This info here could affect my day-to-day gameplay more so than just about anything else in the entire presentation, so I am going to be absolutely devouring every little morsel of information coming from this one. Now, the fourth presentation is called The Need for Speed. The devs are going to discuss the master modes, which will be the different speed modes for the game. These are supposedly going to greatly affect combat and potentially come with a complete overhaul to the combat meta, and could also massively change just the general flight and transit mechanics. It's going to be very interesting and super important, and I just don't really understand how it's going to work, so again, we'll be glued to the screen for this one. The fifth presentation is the Loreville Redux. Basically, Loreville was the first major planetary landing zone, and while it is a cool, massive city, they have since figured out ways to create cities better and just create more efficient, better, larger layouts. The city is getting a major overhaul, which will be previewed here. The sixth presentation is called Powerplay. This is going to discuss the resource management systems for multi-crew ships and even settlement gameplay. Ever since multi-crew ships were announced, the jobs of the crew have been discussed, but in actual universe, we haven't really been able to do much other than hop into turrets or just hang out. There's been none of that Scotty, I need more power moments, or Chewie, I need that hyperdrive online type of gameplay. That's more or less what I expect the presentation to cover, and I know a lot of people are excited about it. Think power relays, repairing all kinds of stuff within the ship systems during combat. It seems like it could be really cool, and I think a lot of people are excited about it. The seventh and final presentation on the schedule is Talking Ship 2952. Basically, the ship teams are going to tease all the cool stuff they're working on. There will probably be some concept ships going up for sale, and possibly straight to flyable stuff going to sale as well. There's also going to be some community voting for new ships as well. Now, personally, I think the overall lineup of info here is really good. I'm interested in most of it, with possibly the investigation missions and Loreville Redux being some of the less interesting side for me. Deeper dives into plans for, say, combat meta, shipboarding, and things of that nature certainly interest me more, but again, this panel kind of has to appeal to everyone who's a fan of the game, so the Need for Speed panel is sort of the one that affects the combat most in that regard. It would definitely be really cool to see some big trailers or teasers for stuff. The team has been working really hard on Squadron 42. I'm always hoping that maybe there'll be some more info about Squadron 42, but again, maybe they just aren't close enough to feel safe about hyping that game just yet. Each time they show something from Squadron 42, it looks absolutely fantastic, so considering that's where the bulk of the team is focused right now and has been for a while, I can only imagine that a sneak peek of that content would be absolutely jaw-dropping, but again, that's very wishful thinking on my part. I'd love to hear some crazy announcements like, I don't know, the Idris coming to the PU with the new resource management gameplay additions in 4.0, but again, I think that would be more on the extreme end of what I think they might be willing to announce. Most likely, the surprises will just be new ship announcements, which can still be pretty exciting in themselves. I would personally like to see some larger alien ships in the constellation sizes announced. I think that would be kind of neat. That would definitely start to fill in some gaps in terms of alien ships right now, because there just aren't that many flyable alien ships right now outside of light fighters, really. Anyway, if you got time this Saturday, drop by for the live stream again. That's at 8 a.m. Pacific time. I hope to see you guys there. Let me know in the comments what you want to see from CitizenCon this year, and also if you're getting into the game and want to watch a video on, say, what ships that you should buy or save up for in-game, check out this video I made on my top 10 recommended ships for before actually playing the game. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.